So one company that has really made a name for themselves in the video game industry has, of course, been limited run games. Now, you've heard a lot of positive things about them, you've heard a lot of negative things about them, and it's a very interesting company when you sit back and just actually look at what they do, where they started and what they have become. But it seems like a lot of people have problems with the company now. So I want to talk about maybe my likes and dislikes about limited run games today in this video, because there's a lot of stuff to cover with this. They're a very interesting business, they're a very interesting business model, but some of the things are definitely a bit problematic, I feel. So when you look at limited run games, I've been familiar with this company for a very long time. When they first started making games for the PlayStation 4, basically taking digital games and bringing them physically over to the platform, I actually got one of the very first games that they ever did because I was such a big fan of that game. And that game, of course, was Shadow Complex Remastered. Now, Shadow Complex Remastered was originally an Xbox 360 title. It was a digital only title, but it was a super good game, like a really tight 8 to 10 hour Metroidvania style game. And I just love the atmosphere. I love the graphics of the game. So when they did that game physically, the remastered edition on the PlayStation 4, I had to have it. And I ended up buying it. It was definitely one of the early titles in the limited run games library. Shortly thereafter, I found out that the studio wasn't very far from where I lived. I want to say this was about back in 2016 or so. So my channel was much smaller. I hit up Limited Run Games and talked to Doug and Josh, who are the owners of it. And I was like, hey, you guys mind if I come up and like hang out for a bit and maybe film a video for my YouTube channel? And they were like, yeah, sure. Shortly thereafter, My Life in Gaming uploaded their video, so mine kind of lost a lot of the luster. I didn't realize that they had also gone there. They were a little bit more talented than I was. I drove up there. I bought this little stupid thing for my camera to make me look like a professional, a little boom mic. I never even turned the audio on for the boom mic, so like my interviews and stuff were completely worthless for when I went up there. The video's still up on the channel, make sure you guys check that out. But I had a really fun time. I had a fun time hanging out with them, learning the business model. They also, at that time, they were in like an office where it was like one side was Limited Run Games and one side was Mighty Rabbit Studios, which was like their development studio. I got to meet all the people there, had a really good time. And of course, as time goes on, companies grow. You know, that's the whole point of having a business. That's the whole point of having a company. You want to grow, you want to expand, you want to make more money, you want to do more of what you love doing. And Limited Run Games has definitely grown a lot as a company. And when you're talking about small companies that start to grow, there's going to be missteps along the way. There's going to be decisions that are made that maybe people don't agree with, but you know, at the end of the day, is it done with malice? Is it done for, you know, problematic reasons, or is it done just because, you know, it's a small business that ended up becoming big and booming and whatnot? So a lot of the limited run games problems started to sort of spurn on with the releases of the titles. They used to do this thing where it was like, on like a Friday, you would have very limited windows to order these games, to pre-order these games that were going to come out. It was like 10 a.m. Eastern time and 6 p.m. Eastern time. And during those two times, you would have to go to the website and pre-order the game, hope that your copy goes through and all of this stuff. And it became an absolute nightmare. People were picking up on the fact that people wanted limited run games after the fact and at sometimes higher prices and whatnot. So it was an absolute nightmare. And it became to the point of where it was like not fun to try and buy these games anymore because it was damn near impossible. Now, that honestly was one of their biggest problems, and they of course fixed it. Now you have these open windows for when you pre-order a game from them. So there's a lot more time. There's like, you have like a month, or even sometimes more than a month, in order to get your order in for these games. So I like that. They saw that there was a problem, and they pivoted to make a better business model so that people could pick up their games, because there's a lot of people that have this collector's aspect with limited run games. Like I said, it started off as a small company where it's just like a handful of games were coming out, you know, yearly. So you could pick up all the limited run games that were numbered and stuff. You could put them on your shelf, look at them, and be like, yeah, it's cool, I got a numbered game. But as they got bigger, they started getting more and more games. More and more games ended up coming to their hands. They ended up working out more deals and stuff. So you had a lot more variety to choose from. And with that, you start to get that whole FOMO, fear of missing out aspect. Not the Destiny FOMO, big boob friend. Shout out to Destiny. Hope you're doing good, babe. But you get the aspect of FOMO, the fear of missing out, where if you're buying a numbered collection, you want to be able to buy all the things in the numbered collection. You don't want to miss out on it. And it just starts to become a bit of a snowball effect, because what ended up happening with limited run games, of course, is they got really big. All right, they got really big. They got so big that they've spurned on companies that are doing similar things to them because of the fact that they're so successful. They're getting all these big brand licenses and these big brand deals, and people get excited for them. But you literally, I don't think anyone can buy all the releases that are done by limited run games, because you go to their website, there's a million different games to choose from. There's a million different games that are up for pre-order. And talking about the games, that's kind of something where I personally have a little bit of a problem with, because I feel like the quality control has been on a decline. Now, I get it. It's subjective. It's subjective what a good game is. It's subjective what the market wants. But when I saw, some of the meme games that they ended up getting, like Night Trap. Okay, Night Trap really isn't a great game, but it's a game that was impactful for video games. It was a game that was, kind of a big deal. It was the whole Night Trap and Mortal Kombat is what created the ESRB. You had all this litigation with Joe Lieberman and stuff like that. It was a big deal. So when that game came out, yeah, it's not the highest quality, but hey, you know what? It has significance. It has a significant value in the mind of gamers because of what it does. But once we started getting shit like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the Game Boy and the NES, that was a big red flag for me, because maybe it was done for like a meme purpose, maybe it was done for something like that, but nobody wants this. Nobody needs this. There's not a single person in this world who needs a copy of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the NES. The game sucks. All right, I've never played the Game Boy game. I'm assuming it sucks too. From what I've seen from it, it sucks. It's not a good game. So why is this getting a physical release? Obviously they're about my age, so Bill and Ted was probably very important to them. But I feel like the meme titles and the titles you've never heard of before, the titles that don't need a physical release, because I don't think there's a fan base for it to begin with, that becomes problematic, because now it's just like there's no quality control. Everything that they do, you would assume would be like the top tier stuff, the top tier games that deserve a physical release, and then they're not. They're just whatever, just get whatever license you can and then make it into a physical game. Like I said, it's a very subjective thing. You could be a fan of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the NES and Game Boy. Maybe there's some nostalgia for you, but it's like, just buy the cartridge. Just buy the cartridge. If you really love the game, you probably already own it. If it has that nostalgia for you, you probably already own it. And going along with, of course, the games themselves, you have these collector's editions. Now, the collector's editions started out good. I thought they started out good. I still buy some of the collector's editions. I recently bought the Castlevania one, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video. I recently pre-ordered the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge collector's edition. I have the Night Trap collector's edition that I see right there on my floor. So I'm familiar with their collector's editions, but once again, the quality of those collector's editions, some of the stuff makes sense, and then some of the stuff just doesn't make sense, like whatsoever. It's like, why would this be in a collector's edition of this game? It's just a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap that they throw in, and once again, you don't have to buy it. But I would like to see the collector's editions of games, actually be like cool stuff. Actually cool stuff, and only done for like bigger games. Not every game needs a collector's edition. Things like, the Castlevania Collection. Okay, that makes sense to me. There's a diehard Castlevania community out there. Night Trap, you put the game on a freaking VHS. Like that was cool. But some of these games, like Glover, I don't think Glover 64 needs a collector's edition. I know it's kind of a meme game or whatever. But once again, much like the game, quality, it's a subjective thing. You could sit there and say, I love Glover, I love all of these, I love Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, it's the greatest game ever. Okay, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because it's a subjective thing, but the main problem that I think everyone can agree with is turnaround time, because somewhere along the way, they got so big that turnaround time became an absolute nightmare. I remember with Shadow Complex, I did not wait all that long. I ordered the game. The game, I want to say, came a few weeks later. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay, that doesn't happen anymore. The Castlevania Collection for the Nintendo Switch, I ordered the collector's edition or whatever, and I ordered it in May of 2021. It did not arrive until July of 2022. That is over a year. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I feel like they announce too many titles and they have too many things going on. And when it comes to these stupid collector's editions, you have the fact that people are having to manufacture some of the stuff within these collector's editions, so it holds up the processing time. There's still the whole thing with Scott Pilgrim right now where like the vinyl still hasn't come out, so people have been waiting on that game for a very long time. A developer, the man who brought Quake onto modern platforms, ordered a physical copy of Quake through limited run games and still not has gotten it. Shout outs to my British bastard friend MVG. But it's like, I could buy that game right now in Best Buy because of the fact that limited run games has released the games to Best Buy now. They do that with some of their titles. And I don't know. Like, I just feel like at its core, they're a good company. They're trying to do good for the video game industry. And I think for the most part, they do well. You know, they do positive things for it. But I just feel like, you know, it's almost like a case of too much too soon. Like they got so big that maybe they just put too much stress on themselves and too much stress on their workers and, you know, just started thinking, oh, we could do this, that, and the other. And because of that, you have a slight decrease in quality of games. You know, there's no point in trying to collect every limited run game anymore because you can't do it. You'll be eating freaking can of beans for the rest of your life. Like you can't even afford the can of beans. You go to the grocery store, get a can of Bush baked beans, you just pop the top and you just eat it, but you didn't pay for it because you can't afford it because you're trying to buy all these limited run games. But the turnaround time has really decreased my enjoyment of the company. I probably would buy more stuff from them if that turnaround time wasn't so bad. Something like Doom Eternal on the Switch, where Bethesda was supposed to do a physical version. They didn't do it. And then Limited Run comes along and gets that version of the game. Like, that's super cool. That's something I would potentially like to own, but I don't want to wait another year for a game that I'm going to have to spend like $60 on plus, you know, if I want to do the physical, the collector's edition or whatever, when it's constantly on sale on the eShop. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe at times they sort of lost their vision a little bit. You know, it was about taking high quality games and, you know, high quality indie games that did not have a physical release or just high quality games in general and giving them a physical release because of the fact that you want something tangible. You want something in your hands. You want something that you feel like you own instead of just a digital copy. But somewhere along the way, you know, they got a little bit almost too big for their britches. And now it's just kind of like, you know, it is what it is. I don't think they're a bad company. Like I said, I know Doug, I know Josh. They're very good individuals. I think their heart's in the right place. It's just some of the execution and stuff, it leaves a little bit to be desired. You know, your mileage is going to vary with this. You might absolutely love Limited Run and think that there's no problems with them, or you might hate them. You might have sworn them off or whatever. For me personally, it's definitely a case-by-case basis. Like I said, did get that stupid Turtles thing. I wasn't even gonna buy the Turtles thing, but when I saw that damn Shredder figure, I was like, I need this. I need this. You bastards have, you know, roped me in. But that was cool stuff in the collector's edition. Some of these collector's editions, not so much. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think of limited run games. Have you purchased stuff from them? Have you heard a bunch of negative stuff? Like I said, this wasn't an overly negative video, I feel. It was just my honest opinions on some of the things that I don't like about the company. But overall, I do still like them. You know, I do still like what they do. I just wish things could be a little bit better. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.